Electrocuted before live audience. On May 3, 1972, the top-ranked suite in Swansea, Wales was packed with fans eager to see Stone the Crows perform. Harvey was the band's lead guitarist, known for his blues-influenced style and energetic stage presence. That day, as the venue filled with anticipation, the band prepared for what should have been another memorable show. Before the performance began, Harvey stood alone on stage during the final sound check. The band members waited at the side of the stage while technical issues were being addressed. Harvey approached the microphone to announce the delay to the waiting crowd. "There's a technical hitch," he said to the audience. What he didn't know was that the microphone was ungrounded, a dangerous electrical fault that had gone unnoticed. The moment he touched the metal microphone while holding his guitar, his body became a conductor between the two pieces of equipment. The electrical current found its path through him. Drummer Colin Allen, standing nearby, heard a deep humming sound and saw an arc shape appear between the microphone and guitar. Harvey's body went rigid, frozen in place by the electrical charge. Allen reacted immediately, rushing forward and kicking the guitar out of Harvey's hand to break the connection. Harvey collapsed onto the stage floor. Les Harvey died as a result of the electrocution. The tragic accident occurred due to the improperly grounded microphone, a safety issue that would later lead to stricter electrical standards in live music venues. Les Harvey was 27 years old. His death became a catalyst for improved safety protocols that have since protected countless musicians from similar fates. Guitar legend murdered on stage. On December 8, 2004, the Alrosa Villa nightclub in Columbus, Ohio, was filled with heavy metal fans. Daryl Abbott, known to the world as Dimebag Daryl, was performing with his band Damage Plan. The 38-year-old guitarist had built a legendary career in metal music and was beloved by fans across the globe. The venue held around 400 people that night. The band had just begun their opening song when a man in a Columbus Blue Jackets hockey jersey climbed onto the stage. His name was Nathan Gale, a 25-year-old former Marine suffering from severe paranoid delusions. He believed the members of Daryl's previous band had stolen his thoughts and lyrics. Gale pulled a 9mm Beretta handgun from his jacket. Before anyone could react, he aimed directly at Daryl's head and fired. Multiple shots struck him at point-blank range. Daryl collapsed instantly onto the stage, dying before his body hit the floor. But Gale did not stop. He turned the gun on Jeffrey Thompson, Damage Plan's head of security, who rushed to intervene. Thompson was shot multiple times and fell. Aaron Halk, an Alrosa Villa employee, tried to stop the gunman. He was shot multiple times and passed away. Nathan Bray, an audience member attempting to perform CPR on the wounded, was shot in the chest and later succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. Gale grabbed a hostage and held the gun to his head. The venue descended into chaos. People trapped inside could not escape. The attack had lasted approximately 3 minutes, but 4 people were already gone. Columbus police officer James Niggemeyer entered through a back door. He moved through the venue and spotted Gale holding his hostage near the stage. Niggemeyer raised his 12-gauge Remington shotgun and fired a single blast. The shot struck Gale in the head, ending the threat immediately. The hostage was released unharmed. Daryl's body remained on stage where he had fallen. The tragedy at Alrosa Villa would forever change concert security and leave the metal community in mourning. Illusionist trapped in fire. On May 9, 1911, the Empire Palace Theatre in Edinburgh, Scotland, was sold out for another performance in Lafayette's 2-week run. Lafayette was one of the most famous illusionists in the world, known for elaborate stage productions that blended magic with theatrical spectacle. That night, he was performing his signature act called The Lion's Bride. The finale featured Lafayette, his trained lion, and his body double-dressed in identical costume. The act required intricate staging with painted backdrops, silk curtains, and carefully positioned lighting. At approximately 11 o'clock, near the end of the performance, a lamp fell and ignited the stage curtains. The fire spread instantly. The heavy fabrics used in theatrical productions of that era were highly flammable, treated with oils and paints that accelerated the flames. Within seconds, the entire stage was engulfed. The fire safety curtain descended but jammed 3 feet from the bottom, creating a chimney effect that intensified the blaze. The fire moved so quickly that Lafayette and his crew were trapped behind the burning curtains before they could react. The theater had fire exits, but the backstage doors had been locked from the inside. This security measure was intended to prevent unauthorized access during performances. Those locked doors now became a death trap. The orchestra, following strict instructions for emergencies, continued playing God Save the King to prevent panic. The audience evacuated in relative order, filing out through the main exits while the band played. But backstage, there was no escape. Lafayette, his body double, orchestra members, stagehands including 15-year-old Alice Dale, and both the lion and horse were sealed behind the flames. The smoke filled the backstage area within minutes. The temperature inside a theater fire can exceed 1,000 degrees. The elaborate costumes Lafayette wore, covered in sequins and fabric, caught fire immediately. Witnesses outside the theater heard screams from within, but the locked doors prevented any rescue attempt. Fire brigades arrived arrived, but the blaze was too intense. By the time they contained the flames, the backstage area was destroyed. 2 days after the fire, workers found Lafayette's actual body beneath the stage, identified by his rings. His body double, C.E. Richards, was discovered in similar condition, making initial identification nearly impossible. The great Lafayette was 40 years old. 11 people perished in total. Actress dies performing death. On November 24th, 1986, the Towson Moose Lodge in Baltimore, Maryland, was hosting a performance of The Drunkard, a melodramatic temperance play from the 1800s. Webster was a stage actress who had performed in this role for 8 years. She was 60 years old and known for her commitment to every role. The play featured exaggerated performances and scripted death scenes, typical of 19th century melodrama. Webster's character was required to sing a song, deliver final lines, and then collapse dramatically on stage as part of the show's climax. The audience expected theatrics. That night, they got something far more real. Webster stepped forward and began singing, "Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone." She moved through the verses and finished the song. She then collapsed onto the stage floor exactly as the script demanded. The audience erupted in applause. They cheered her realistic performance, impressed by how convincingly she had fallen. The other actors on stage continued their lines, moving around her body as the scene required. But something was wrong. Webster was not moving. The stage was blacked out after the grandmother character's death at the end of the second act. Richard Byrd, the director who also played the villain, went on stage and realized Webster had not moved. He broke character immediately and called for help. The audience, still clapping, did not understand what was happening at first. A doctor was called. The applause died. Confusion spread through the crowd as cast members crowded around Webster's motionless body. Medical personnel arrived and began examining her. Edith Webster had suffered a heart attack. She collapsed during her final scene, and the audience had cheered for it. She was transported to St. Joseph Hospital, where she was pronounced dead about 15 minutes after admission. She had suffered 5 previous heart attacks and had undergone heart valve replacement surgery 1 year earlier. On this night, she died performing a death scene, and the audience had cheered for it. Dancer falls from rafters. On September 10th, 1985, the Mutual Life Building in downtown Seattle became the stage for an avant-garde performance unlike anything the city had seen. Takata was a member of Sankai Juku, a Japanese Buto dance troupe known for pushing the boundaries of performance art. The piece was called Jomon Sho, homage to prehistory, subtitled A Dance of Birth and Death. The performance involved 4 dancers suspended upside down by ropes attached to their ankles. They hung from 80 feet above the pavement, their bodies painted white, moving slowly against the exterior wall in synchronized motion. The audience gathered on the street below, looking up at the surreal spectacle. Buto is a dance form that emerged in post-war Japan, characterized by slow, controlled movements and themes of death and transformation. The dancers had rehearsed extensively, and the ropes had been inspected. Everything seemed secure. Around noon, the lunch hour performance began. The 4 dancers descended slowly, their bodies rotating and twisting in deliberate choreography. The crowd watched in fascination. Then, Takata looked up and saw his rope beginning to fray. He reached upward, attempting to grab the rope above the unraveling section. In an instant, it snapped. Takata's body, suspended by his ankles, suddenly had nothing holding it. He began to fall. For those watching from below, time seemed to distort. The fall took only seconds, but witnesses later described it as happening in slow motion. Many thought it was part of the performance. Avant-garde art often blurs the line between reality and illusion. Some in the crowd assumed this sudden plunge was choreographed, a planned dramatic moment. Takata's body accelerated downward, falling through the air with no control. No way to brace for impact. He struck the concrete pavement in front of the Mutual Life Building. A physician in the crowd immediately began CPR. Takata had compound fractures and severe head trauma. He was transported to Harborview Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The other 3 dancers stopped their performance, remaining suspended for a few minutes before climbing back to the roof. Screaming began in the crowd. People rushed forward, then stopped, realizing there was nothing they could do. The confusion lasted a few minutes as the performance abruptly halted. Yoshiyuki Takata was 31 years old. He died performing a piece about death. Highwire stunt tragedy. On March 22, 1978, the Condado Plaza Hotel in San Juan, Puerto Rico, prepared for a spectacle that would draw crowds from across the city. Walenda was the 73-year-old patriarch of the Flying Walendas, a circus family famous for high-wire acts performed without safety nets. He had spent his entire life defying gravity. That day, a steel cable was stretched between 2 towers of the hotel, suspended 121 feet above the concrete plaza below. Wallenda planned to walk the wire as part of a promotional event. Weather reports showed winds picking up throughout the day, but he insisted on proceeding. He had performed in worse conditions before. Television crews positioned their cameras to capture the crossing. 200 spectators gathered on the ground, craning their necks to watch. Wallenda stepped onto the wire carrying a long balance pole. He moved slowly, placing one foot directly in front of the other. His eyes focused on the tower ahead. Halfway across, the wind intensified. A strong gust hit him from the side. His body swayed. The balance pole shifted in his hands as he struggled to compensate for the force pushing against him. For 30 seconds, he teetered on the wire, fighting to recover, adjusting his weight and repositioning his feet. Then another gust struck. His center of gravity shifted too far. He crouched low, trying to grab the wire with his hands, but his 73-year-old reflexes were not fast enough. His grip missed. His body tilted past the point of recovery. Carl Wallenda fell. The cameras kept rolling. Witnesses on the ground screamed as his body plummeted through the air. He struck a parked taxi below, then bounced onto the pavement. The impact caused massive internal injuries. He was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The footage from local television station WAPA-TV was later broadcast around the world. Millions watched the moment a legend lost his balance and fell to his death. Investigation revealed the wire had been improperly secured. No net, no second chance. Just 121 feet of empty air and concrete waiting below. Carl Wallenda died doing what he had done his entire life, but this time, gravity won. Health guru dies on air. On June 7th, 1971, the studio of The Dick Cavett Show in New York City prepared to tape an episode featuring two guests. Rodale was a 72-year-old publisher and organic farming pioneer who had built an empire promoting natural health and longevity. He founded Prevention magazine and wrote dozens of books about living longer through proper nutrition. Cavett began the show by interviewing Rodale. The health guru sat in the guest chair, enthusiastic and energetic despite his age. He spoke passionately about his lifestyle choices, his diet of organic foods, and his exercise regimen. He radiated confidence about his physical condition. "I'm going to live to be 100, Rodale declared to the studio audience, unless I'm run down by a sugar-crazed taxi driver. The audience laughed at the joke. He continued talking about his perfect health, explaining how he had not been sick in years and felt stronger than men half his age. Cavett smiled and nodded, steering the conversation forward. After completing Rodale's interview, Cavett brought out his second guest, New York Post columnist Pete Hamill. Rodale remained on stage, seated on the couch beside Hamill. As Cavett and Hamill conversed, Rodale suddenly made a snoring sound. His head slumped over. His body went limp. The studio audience, thinking it was a comedic bit, began to laugh. The timing seemed too perfect. A health guru joking about immortality suddenly pretending to die? It had to be part of the act. Cavett looked over and realized something was wrong. Rodale was not moving. Cavett saw his bloodless pallor. His face had gone deathly pale. Cavett's expression changed immediately from amusement to alarm. He called out for a doctor. The laughter in the studio audience stopped abruptly. Hamill leaned over and whispered, "This looks bad." Medical personnel rushed onto the set. Cameras stopped rolling as crew members cleared space and laid Rodale flat on the floor. They checked for a pulse, began chest compressions. The studio audience sat in stunned silence, finally understanding this was not a joke. J.I. Rodale had suffered a massive heart attack. Despite immediate medical intervention, he could not be revived. He was taken to Roosevelt Hospital and pronounced dead on arrival. The man who had spent decades promoting health and longevity, who had just bragged about living to 100, collapsed on camera in front of a live studio audience. The episode never aired. The footage was locked away and never broadcast. Cobra strike kills singer. On April 3rd, 2016, a village concert in Karawang, West Java, attracted an audience eager to see the 29-year-old Indonesian pop singer perform. Irma Bule was known for incorporating dangerous elements into her shows, particularly live snakes that she draped across her body while singing. That night, the show organizers provided a king cobra for her performance. King cobras are among the most venomous snakes in the world. Their neurotoxic venom attacks the nervous system, causing paralysis, respiratory failure, and death if left untreated. A single bite contains enough toxin to kill 20 people. Bule typically performed with non-venomous pythons that had their mouths taped shut. She believed this cobra had been defanged. She was midway through her second song when she stepped backward during a dance move. Her heel came down directly on the cobra's tail. The snake reacted instantly, striking her exposed thigh. Its fangs pierced the skin and injected venom deep into her muscle tissue. Bule stumbled, but did not stop performing. The snake handler removed the cobra and offered her anti-venom that could neutralize the venom if administered quickly. She refused. The show must go on. She continued singing, moving across the stage as the venom began spreading through her bloodstream. For 45 minutes, she performed. The audience watched as she continued her set. Backstage, she reportedly joked with friends that she felt no pain. Around 45 minutes after the bite, symptoms began. She started vomiting and suffering seizures. Her legs weakened. She collapsed onto the stage floor as convulsions took hold. The paralysis had begun. Crew members called for emergency transport. She was loaded into a vehicle and rushed to the nearest hospital, but too much time had passed. The venom had spread too far. She was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. Irma Boulay left behind a husband and 3 young children. The mother of 3 had been performing to support her family, earning $25 per show when snakes were included.